Yahoo!
When I finished Cold Steel 2, I finally decided to take another break from the Kiseki series. And what better way to spend my break than with Trails of Cold Steel 3? I definitely have a problem, and so does Cold Steel 3. It's a setup game for itself. Cold Steel 3 is like Cold Steel 1 but with extra benefits, while also taking a lot of things away. And with 100% more, it's more repetitive than any other Trails game I can think of. And that's really impressive in a really wanky way. But it's also genuinely exciting. It makes me all ooh, but only about 5% of the time. But that 5%, you know, this guy certainly does. He knows everything. It's Kondo-san with the master plan. A plan that at this rate will see a remake of Kaino Kiseki before Kaino Kiseki 2 even comes out. Sure, Cold Steel 3 retcons a bunch of stuff, but at least it's trying to move the series forward. Finally remembered it's a series with an overarching plot. I'm very proud of it. Well, it remembers in the final few hours. Cold Shit 3 has many issues. It may not pick up the pace, but it does turn up the heat. Repeating certain writing habits in a way that would make even Cold Steel 2 blush. Cold Steel 3 comes in with a million more that won't be necessaries. Bad guys holding back, Ouroboros members teleporting away after saying something vague and cryptic. In some ways, it begins to feel like Falcom are phoning it in, due to a very understandable burnout though. But hey, that's not our fault. And yet in other ways, pure soul and charm and magic. And lots of batting and filler. LIANNE motherfucker! It's a Kiseki game. Of course there is. The 8th game in a long-running series is here, and with Cold Steel 2 ending, the series really did wrap up an era in the Kiseki canon. Speaking to someone with destructive habits myself, I can assure you that Falcom will not fix the issues because it's too late to fix them. I know the feeling. Falcom can't be fixed, neither can I. We're both literally Ryan Gosling. Except Kondo, who is literally Reen.
Grandmother!
We'll see a main plot, again, that ain't self-contained, meaning Ouroboros, the Septian Church, the ancient lore of Erebonia, and how it ties into the main plot, because Falcom have decided to stop pretending that they don't exist, just as I decided to stop pretending I'm not a crazy person. But it's also very shamelessly a setup game for the sequel, just as Cold Steel 1 was a setup game for Cold Steel 2, and this series is technically going somewhere at this point, but the coziness of the world can no longer distract an insightful mind from the axiomatic realities of how it's headed there, slower than the frame rate of a PS3 trying to run Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition. You know, around the time you get Old World Blues. This is what happens when you're so bad at planning that games have to be split into two regularly, but that's all part of the master plan, obviously. My guy, still.
Reen's military companions.
I've no doubt that a shareholder asked Kondo about it when it released, and he probably said something like, "We're now 40% of the 60% of the 10% of the way through the series." And then he laughed. I don't have proof of this, but I just know. He laughed. Please look forward to the next game. Please. Cold Steel 3 mirrors Cold Steel 1 a lot. New school, new characters, new class 7, and we head out into the big wide world to explore new places and new encounters with new bad guys, and some old ones, with their stupid plans that are apparently actually finally leading to a thing that isn't boring. And then we spend cozy nights back at the academy, except this time we're the old age pensioner, working as an instructor, and we gotta look after the stupid kids. And Altina's there. Altina is the smart one. She's grumpy, and we've officially adopted her as our daughter. Characters from the Sky and Crossbell arcs return. Randy's back. Toa returns because Falcom knows it ain't an arc unless Toa's in it, which means actually that Trails in the Sky isn't canon, and I don't know why they're even bothering to remake it. What are you doing? Tio returns from that game that doesn't exist, and many others reappear, as Falcom simultaneously introduced plenty of new characters that almost all justify their place in the game. And of course, Tio Moments. New engine, new graphics, new battle system, characters, ideas, same old problems too. That's our Falcom. As always, wouldn't have it any other way. It feels like Cold Steel 1 and also Cold Steel 2's epilogue, but it's still just Cold Steel 3 and FIFA 97.
Twat! That was liquid football!
I'm a very serious guy, so I take spoilers very seriously, meaning I'm probably playing the worst series imaginable for my proclivities. Still, if you weren't spoiled enough by the OP a little later, which kind of reveals that Crow is still alive under a stupid mask and a stupid suit, then perhaps this prologue where we storm Juno Fortress will spoil you sufficiently in preparation. Also, switch the vertical camera to inverted to uninverted. Nisa does this in Cold Steel 4 as well, and it's bloody amateur hour. They do it in Cold Steel 4 and 3, and for Hajimori I don't remember. They're even doing fan translation for the options menu. They can't help themselves. Why do they keep changing things? The new engine has lovely looking graphics. It looks incredible. The jump from PSP and PS3 to primarily PS4 is a huge one. The faces look much more detailed and round and cute. The environment looks lovely. Even the moves on the field feel more smooth and impactful. Still, I have literally nothing to say about this opening section. It's identical in structure to Cold Steel 1, like many things in this game. Falcon formula, bros, it's inevitable. You storm the fortress, you get used to the combat a little, you fight some Ouroboros wankers, and one of them is Leeves, and then we get the actual game, in which the music is calm and cozy. The train is beastly, and Reen is famous now. Kondo wins again, baby. That's our Reen. Tita, and Aga as well, I guess. They're back for the first time since Skythird, 5,000 years ago. Rizbot has an even more complex personality than before and is a great conversationalist. Patrick Higharms and Reen are bros now, and seeing this for the first time in 2019 legit made me all warm and cozy. Patrick's arc has been phenomenal, going from the arrogant douchebag to the respectful and mature dude we know now. He still likes Elise though, so he's doomed to die alone. And then, a whisper in the wind. A voice calls to us from the void. Its location, unknown. Its origin, indeterminate. Could it be the Grandmaster? Perhaps the ghost of Reen's mother? Could it be FIFA 97, back for revenge? Nope, it's Toa. And the game is complete. End it now, we can all call it a 10 out of 10. Having a follow Reen to Leeves is the best thing Falcom have done since the last Tio moment, and the two catch up as we walk through Leeves for the first time. I love Leeves. Leeves is cozy. The music is cozy too, and it's not just Trista 2.0. Has a unique identity that I think shines through as we get to know the place, as with Trista and Force. We'll not only see this place with our own eyes, but through the daily lives and actions of the Force students, all of whom are wonderfully written. Well, most of them. The instructors are brilliant too, and as an instructor, we'll be getting to know them very well, including Randy Orlando of the Crossbell arc's main story, whose country we helped to annex. There's also Toa Herschel, Super Bean Supreme. Instructor Michael, Claire's brother cousin, and our principal, Aurelia the GUIN, whom I made a few videos about back in the old days. Oh, Schmidt's here too. He probably shaves his beard with a pencil sharpener. I love Schmidty. He's grumpy, but he cares. Possibly. Nah, he does. It's revealed in the next game. Aurelia was with Reen and Valimar when they annexed Northumbria during the Northern War, between the events of the last game and this one. They made an anime about it, but it's crappy. It's outsourced Falcom anime, so it's as terrible as you might predict. It was always going to be crap. We knew it was going to be crap, and it was crap. But there was a funny Mishy meme out of it. As we meet the students, I realised that all of Leeves feels like one big stupid family that you can't help but love, but none more so than this weird group of teachers and students. Remember that Aurelia was on the losing side of the Civil War, but she's still one of the most powerful warriors who ever lived, so she gets her own school. In this game we'll see her softer side, even when she's mean. Reen has new glasses now to look more prim and proper, but later Juna will make fun of him for it and he'll ditch them forever, because that's our class, new class 7. Kurt Vander of the Vanders is a smaller Vander than any of the other Vanders, and he's one of the less egregious retcons because he's not that important despite being a Vander. Juna Crawford of Crossbell hates us because we went to Crossbell like a fucking Chad and crushed them under the Imperial boot and took that country for ourselves. Guess what, Juna? Crossbell deserved it. Yeah, oh poor Crossbell. Poor Crossbell, with their organised crime and their drug empires and their constant infighting and the political coup attempts this week. Poor them, they should be thanking the Empire for bringing some order their way. Order. Imperial order. They obviously can't be trusted. They use midgets and extraterrestrial technology to turn AURELIA into an ice cream scoop. They let a midget become a giant blue tree. You can't blame everything on the mighty Erebonian, you know. How about some gratitude? And of course, the third bean already is Altini Orion, who can finally afford proper clothes. Somebody donated $1 a month, it would seem. Things are coming up Altina. Altina will face many trials and tribulations in this game, but with the help of Pancakes and her annoying sister Milliam, she will overcome them all. So Einhell Keep is the new old school house. Same function, new layout every chapter, same intro to combat, same old here's a new iteration of the combat augment, namely the creatively titled Arcus 2, and the same dude falls into a lady's boob scene, like Reen and Elisa. It's cheap and hilariously cringe, and that's kinda why it's perfect. It sums up trials, you know? Reen looks on like, haha, I remember when I underwent this trial many years ago. But I love Crow deep down. Then Juna slaps Kurt like Elisa slapped Reen, but Kurt literally asked for it because he's a dumbass. Combat is largely unchanged, there's not much to say about it, but what was once a wheel of things is now two separate static UI prompts. like wheels that don't spin no more because they're sad. It's easy to get used to, and quicker to navigate once you do. It's far more intuitive. I just miss the wheel, and I don't quite understand why. Brave points and brave orders are the newest feature, and give you buffs that range from meh to the most OP stuff you could possibly imagine, like complete invincibility for several turns. Sub-Master Quartz are deployed in Chapter 1, and they confer a reduced buff by applying them alongside your primary one, which means a broken combat system is now even more broken. You can also get surprise attack advantages in the field by using a different button and using a more powerful move to initiate combat, which is charged by breaking shit in the field. You can also break enemies to render them immobile for a little while and guarantee a follow-up attack. Destruction is fun and profitable is the moral of the story. This prologue is an analogue for Cold Steel 1 and acts as a good reminder of how far Reen has come due to the events of Cold Steel 1 and 2. At the ending of the chapter, with the class coming together despite their issues, resolving to give Class 7 a good go, because they all have good reasons to do so. It's all Cold Steel 1 all over again. Their dynamics with each other, while a little forced in the early stages of the game, do ultimately pay off as the Cold Steel arc nears its conclusion. By Cold Steel 7, they will be super tight, trust me. Reen's reminded of his old class, and I guess now that we're Reen, we're also the new Sarah. It's an emotional one, man, because Cold Steel 1 and 2 needed to happen for this to happen as well, and all of that dilly-dallying that Falcom does by making the longest games of all time really does pay off in moments like this. Doesn't excuse it, it's just a silver lining in my eyes. I really miss the original Class 7, but they're still about and they will feature heavily going forward, but in their own unique ways, as we travel the country and see how they've grown too. And now we get to preside over the growth of these three midgets, and then Muse and Ash later. This prologue's a love letter and a proper send-off to the first two Erebonia games, but also a mission statement for the future of the arc too. Well, the things that Falcom actually planned in advance, I suppose, in that these guys are now the center of the universe, our universe, and we gotta keep them alive as they grow, just as we did in the CS1 and CS2 games. It's not a carbon copy of Cold Steel 1, it's similar enough to resonate with anyone who played it and different enough to provide a new beginning. Even Aurelia, Toa, Randy and Michael watch over us, just as Oliver and Van Dyke did. It's a callback and a tribute, so I forgive it. Most of the game feels this way, apart from the last 5% where things actually happen, finally. And Agate headpats Tia. It's not just Reen's superpower move anymore. Agate knows not his power, however, and of course the Iron Bloods are spying on everything we do via a Zoom video call.
Yeah.
Juna and Kurt do what Reen and Elisa should have done, and make up at the start of Chapter 1 instead of the end of it. You might think they're teasing these two being a ship, and maybe they were, I don't know, but don't get too excited. In the next game they'll induct Juna into Reen's harem, and that's the end of her love life and she will die a virgin. With this scene, and then Altina turning up and Ash and Muse, with Reen and Toa secretly presiding over them, you immediately get the sense that, while about the same size as Trista, New Force and its students, and the game's story and characters feel much more condensed and focused, which is where the coziness is born. Less people means more time for the ones who are here, essentially. After this we get little scenes of each class, and the game's taking its sweet time as it lets you explore the campus and meet the array of brilliant characters in the place. The personalities in these students are great, and I think all of them get at least one side quest with some payoff. To name a few, Tatiana is jumpy and everything scares her. Wayne is intense in a weirdly innocuous way. Kyrie is a proud Erebonian man. Sydney is the lovesick, bad with ladies guy. Freddy is literally Bear Grylls. He has crazy eyes and eats bugs. Louise is funny when she takes her glasses off and somehow mistakes us for Randy. And Tita is in the hangar, usually being shouted at by Schmitty. She does augment thingies for us. Leaves at Night is diabolically beautiful. Walk around, talk to whomever you wish, soak up the vibes like a vibe sponge. 3-dimension Landy-san is something that's weird to get used to, but you can get used to anything, can't you? 3 days are like God Steel 1, bonding events, side quests, just arsing around in the home base with your bum buddies, soaking up the cozy. Customizable hair colour is finally a thing from this game going forward. It's all about that glam, innit? It should be more common in games. We should always be able to change the hair colour of things. And now Reen can have red hair for a while and cosplay adult Kristen. And it's the return of Jingo to Trails from the Crossbell arc, who's opened up a probably only slightly illegal 9-Valley exchange store. And little Cerberus is her trusted hound. In the next game you'll parachute off of an airship, but it isn't on camera. I'm not kidding, I'm serious. Monk has re-established Radio Trista in Leeves, I guess he just picked it up from Trista and had the carpool delivery service parachute that in too. Ash and Tatiana meet for the first time, with Ash scaring the crap out of her, and then winning her over. I'm not going to detail every little thing that happens, this video isn't going to be 4 hours long, but these two are great throughout this arc, and this is the start of that. Rosine is in the chapel, just like in Trista, and she and Reen discuss the optional scene from Cold Steel 2 wherein Thomas reveals he and Rosine are part of the Growls Ritter, which would be quite a surprise if he didn't do all that arbitrary stuff to get the Black Records in the last game, or watch a video on it. And then Vantage Masters. Vantage Masters is what Blade should have been, but wasn't. Instead of a few random cards, you can collect them by beating people at the game, and you have the liberty of assembling and tactically mapping out your own deck prior to any match. Unlike with Blade, you have the leader thingy, the elemental thingies, and each card has its own power level thingy, and certain skill thingies. It still has an element of luck and RNG to it, but it's mainly tactics now, which is inversely proportionate to Blade, where, in case I forgot to mention it, I felt like it was the worst card game in any game I've ever played ever. It was pom shit. You also have abilities that are patterned after combat moves, like Seal, and it's fun to play a bunch of people at the game and bond with them over it. It's not quite Gwent levels of fun, but as someone who isn't really fond of card games and only really like Gwent and nothing else, Vantage Masters is now the second card game in a video game that I'm able to tolerate. Ever. It sounds profoundly underwhelming, but I assure you it is high praise. It's quite fun. Unless you want to get every card, in which case Jesus. The Tea Club is one of my favourites. Muse and Maya try to get Kyrie in a women's kimono though, and he ain't about that. He's a proud Erebonian man. Kyrie's Sigma journey is really cool. It's silly, but at the same time it hits on something the localizers stamped out of the arc. Erebonian national pride. They really water it down. But let's be real, Nisa are based in California. Do I need to say anything else? Or is that going to make people angry? Oh, Reddit's going to be on a mad one.
Schizo posting. I learned many things about the Falcom community from my Reddit adventures. Elise is much more liked than I realised. Some people are very prone to being trolled, and incest is surprisingly popular here.
Nonetheless, it's cool to see Kyrie grow into a more confident young man as time progresses, becoming a medic. I'm not joking when I say a man working in healthcare is manly shit. Good for him. Good young man. Lecter's here. Unfortunately, he's annoying, but also Milliam, who isn't annoying. She's grown a huge 0.5 centimeter taller. And much like Cold Steel 1, we couple this school life with monthly field studies where we tour the country and do fun things, and occasionally beat up Ouroboros members at the same time before they teleport away and say Pava, Fufu, whatever the hell. We'll find out what the other side of Erebronia is like now, but the whole school goes, which is great, and we get a train. Our own train. In Einhell Keep, Millie and Altini do sister things and Reen ponders over their designations. OZ followed by numbers. Since this is a spoiler video, originator Zero Swords. Well, swords in training, sword beans, and then the return of...
It's 9 p.m. on April 16th, and you're listening to Radio Trista. Hey there, everyone. It's been a year and a half, but man, it feels more like 3. Tonight is the long-awaited return of the hit radio show, Abend Time.
Leah's kind of gotten over her precious bird Grianos being slashed like a tomato by Rufus, and she's back to being a radio host. She's living my dream. I always wondered if I had a voice for radio. Certainly got a face for it. Then again, I don't think radio channels are like me. I mainly just watch Opie and Anthony clips from like 50,000 years ago. A game of analogous analogues indeed is my precious cold shit free, and in that vein, in lieu of a practical exam with Sarah Valstein, we hop into some Panzer Soldats and beat the crap out of each other with them. Ash challenges Reen to a fight in one, and we wreck him. If Ash wants to beat Harem Boy, he better get a body pillow made of himself. Reen's powers come from his gifts with the ladies. He is Kondo, after all, and so we are also Reen, and also Kondo, so we're to blame for all the padding and the filler, actually. With Ash humbled and sulky, it's field study time, with the first in the Sutherland province, with St. Arc and Palm. Stupid pretty clever, stupid pretty face can fuck. Aurelia drops the bombshell and says she and Smitty ain't coming, meaning we gotta handle things ourselves. I always found it funny, imagining literally just her, Schmidt and a few others at the school alone. I bet these two get wasted and play like Naked Twister in the hangar. Drunk out of their minds. Can somebody draw that for me? Put it on the Falcom subreddit. We can explore the train and talk with people, and it's super cozy in here. Wayne's father once said, "A soul is tempered by trials overcome." Wayne, however, has been stung by a bee, and I have found the culprit. I know you, singer. I know what you're up to. The Falcom formula is what makes Falcom games the best games and the worst games of all time. And it lives in Cold Steel 3 just as it lives in every other Cold Steel game ever and every Trails game. So it's exploring the new place and doing bracer stuff for us that'll take hours and hours and hours. St. Arc is lovely, but not overly beautiful. Kind of a mix of Heimdall and Bereard, if you think about it. And we meet Paddy's dad, Marquis Hyarms, who is cool, and Celestin is back. Guess what? Missing Cat side quest. And Ismir Great Forest, one of the standout locations in the entire series. It's mystical and magical and feels like another world entirely. It also has great significance that will be revealed in Cold Steel 4. The song is called Behind the Law, and it's my favourite of the entire soundtrack of this game. The music from Cold Steel 3 onwards is a hell of a story in its own right. People act like it went all to crap, but while it does deteriorate in some ways, it actually improves in others. Best way to summarise this is to say that battle themes are kind of mid now, but the ambient themes, when they hit like nothing else. Falcom just has composers do things and they like use them later. I'm pretty sure there are composers that have left whose songs get used later. It's weird, we'll get to that in Horizon. It's like the midpoint between the really unique early stuff that sometimes had songs I didn't dig and the newer stuff that's mainly forgettable but sometimes borderline life-changingly good. That's Trails, but there's a magic to the soundtrack back in the Cold Steel arc, especially in songs like this one, that coupled with the new engine really bring the world and the lore of Erebonia's past to life. And here's where Roselia makes herself known for the first time. Brand new character, been referenced many times. This is Emma and Vita's grandmother. Not like blood related, just they're all witches and they work in a unique way. She sucks the blood from our neck or something. Little vampire witch, innit? Elliot's a famous up and coming musician now, playing in churches, and we're off to Palm, as I remember how long this bloody game is. It's Deuce and Shirley. Palm's a lovely town. This is where one of the other groups went in Cold Steel 1 100 years ago. It's also the southernmost town of the Empire, meaning the closest to River. Further down we meet Annabelle, once more, the Fisher Lady, but no Kenneth.
Spirit universe?
That won't be necessary.
I hope you like sword of biting gale fuckers. Salora's back and she assaults us with her womanhood. And you can't ever really miss the old Cloud 7 too much because they're sprinkled throughout the game like glitter. I like this. But yeah, if you think this trope is played out in this series by this point, this is only the beginning. Fun fact, I often think about the scale of Erebonia and the ludonarrative shitwaffles involved. And Altina says here that the walk from Palm to the train is 2 hours long, when for us it's a few minutes, even if it isn't turbo mode, so it's implied Erebonia is orders of magnitude larger than what we experience, and as big as an actual real-world country. I still don't know how I feel about this. Part of me wishes video games would own this stuff and stop trying to compensate. Another part of me thinks it's good attention to detail. And both then. This is an odd little thing, and I am trying to condense these essays a little, but this scene right here speaks to something that makes Falcom games uniquely Falcom games. Not a word is spoken. You can't hear anything but the music. But these facial expressions, the body language, even with these archaic animations, at least when compared to newer AAA games, along with the little emotes that have actually been present since the Sky games, they all come together to make Trails genuinely special in a really esoteric way. They never stop using these little emotes, and I've seen some people complain about them, but I love that they stuck around. I love that they kept the emotes. It's pure Trails. It's a way to combine the roots of the Kiseki series with all of the new bells and whistles of the new engine, and the graphics and the slightly better animations. Slightly. Trails may not be the most coherent thing in gaming, but it knows what it is at its roots. Its core. Not a single word spoken, yet it conveys coziness, togetherness, and a sense of the start of a big journey. Character dynamics, character development, all within one little 30-second montage of everyone just hanging out. I used to ask myself why I put up with Kiseki's more annoying traits. So it's weird to think this is the very simple answer to that. Attention to detail and odd little places, it's all there. Always has been. At the train, Shirley and Deuce decide to annoy us by literally setting stuff on fire and attacking us, just to put us in our place, as Deuce says. So Deuce ain't the goody two-shoes she seems to be. She'll never go too far, but she often does unethical stuff for her lord. Even the supposedly good people in Ouroboros, Leanne, Grandmaster, Deuce, etc. aren't as clean as you might think. But we fight them off because... yeah, feet, Elliot and Laura. I don't even care if it's a trope. Being saved by these three is 21st century Kino. They've grown so much, like weeds. So now we're going to ditch the new Class 7 and chill with these guys instead. Reen says it's not safe, but literally whatever. Old Class 7 are the best.
My baby bundle of joy. Oh, Elliot!
Elliot, my sweet boy!
boy, why do you shrink from your father's loving embrace?
I miss this guy. I know I'm not alone in doing the following. Trails fans all have that one NPC or group of NPCs that they love the most. My favourite NPC is Anton, but my favourite group is Lord Quinn and Lady Luna. And the rest of the family, I guess. We help them find their wallet and they're very nice to us. Some nobles really are lovely, we see once again. Our world can only come to life with lively characters like these guys. Unlucky. So sad, yes, I know, what a tragedy. It's really sad and blah blah. We've done this for 100 years now. See it in 3D is cool, but I don't care anymore. Hamel sucked. It's gone. Get over it. It's been a million years. Stop. Luke, I'm going to write in your comments. I'm going to write about how insensitive you are. Have you seen the trails in the sky over here? A dog was killed. Luke, be more nice to Luve and Karen. Do you have any idea how serious an event that was? Hamel was like 9/11. So we beat Shirley and Deuce, but they get back up because they're pussies. And then New Class 7 saves us even though we told them not to. Everything's coming up Millhouse. Well, maybe not. Rispot helps us though, against this Ion, and Rutger, Fee's dad, supposed to be dead, turns up and has a purple divine knight and wrecks the Ion, and then everyone disperses. Nothing ever happens. Well, at least until the last 5 to 10% of the game. As a Trails game, you know how this works by now.
As Governor General, this tower is under my jurisdiction. Surely your masters have taught you common courtesy, servants of Ouroboros.
Chapter 1 touched on the early days of Trails lore with Hamel, and the second takes us to the second Arc's country of Crossbell. It's a different Imperial Crossbell now, so expect a subdued, depressing soundtrack and a dulled atmosphere. That said, it's on purpose, and exploring Crossbell in full 3D for the first time, without being bound to the geofront, is really cool. We'll meet a bunch more odd characters from prior games, one in particular that makes moments happen. Celestine joins us on loan from Lord Higharms. Mint arrives to be Schmidt's worst nightmare, and with everyone joining a club, Leeves is really coming to life, and of course, slice of life stuff. Every chapter. This game is not in a hurry to do anything ever. Now we all whisk furiously. Josette Capua of The Capuas makes her first reappearance since Skyford, which was an unexpected one. She's nice now. Also returning is Prince Cedric, who's older and more of an uppity twat. You can tell immediately that he's going to be a baddie. He wants Irene to join the main campus, and we learn Kurt could have been the Mueller to his Oliver. Cedric's annoying now, but I like where his arc takes him, and he says we're off to Crossbell. Rufus greets us there, and he continues to be an exceptionally written character. You always feel like part of him is truly sincere and that the other part just tells you what you want to hear, so he can get ahead. He's the Governor General of Crossbell now, and being a double agent got him there. But he's not overtly authoritarian like Chancellor Osborne. He's impossible to read, and you want to trust his words, but it's always in the back of your mind that he's up to something. He's really well written. I like him. Also, Lloyd is a wanted man now, on the run with Arios and Kia. Marcius, meanwhile, is the most trustworthy friend being in all the land. He's in the Government Accountability Inspectorate now. A great job for his character, really fits him. He keeps big government in check. He keeps the man in check. And his old friend Pattery is about too, working in one of the stores. Crossbell is still Crossbell, and mascot Mishy is still at the harbour. I wonder if this is Oliver in that suit. I still wonder, maybe it is. Kind of like how Vita was in the intro of Skyford, or at least we all think she was. Was that actually confirmed? Whatever, you can buy ride-along Mishis at the store, so we buy 5 of them, and later we buy 5 more. And Crossbell in general, despite the new buildings and the flashy new graphical engine, is almost just as we left it in Azure, or Aono Kiseki. You can't explore the entire city, but about half of it is ours to go and see for ourselves in 3D for the first time ever. One new building is a Rhineford building, in which we find Juna is literally the biggest SSS fangirl in the world ever. Either way, from this moment on, this is the genesis.
Of McGillicuddy.
Not of that, of Falcom trying to pretend Juna was always a thing. They even retconned a little chibi Juna into the Kai version of Aono Kiseki. But the idea is that she was instrumental to the SSS as their cheerleader or something, and that's basically most of her personality on the surface. Crossbell's most passionate cheerleader. Great to see Tio back there. 2 whole games without Tio Moments is a difficult endeavour indeed. Although Cold Steel 2 did have ride-along Tio, still not the same.
I do like the ladies.
But the geofront certainly bloody is. As atmospheric as this human hamster maze may be, it's still very annoying to navigate, and it's hard to enjoy it so much when the Cold Steel 2 epilogue had us down here for about an hour or so. Still, geofront is a nice place. Aesthetically, it's cozy down here. It's That Won't Be Necessary number 2, but this time they say there's no need for that, and there's different music, and Sharon gives a panty shot instead. Still counts though. Elise is back and she's gone turbo horny for Rien. The time away only made her hornier, to the point she has a zipper on her top and half of her skirt looks like he got into an accident. But Rien resists her, as he resisted Laura and everyone else. He just calls her beautiful like he did with Laura, and I don't know how long it will take for people to realise that Rien is gay for Crow. Sharon's backstory is finally delved into. She was a young assassin, very similar to the story of Joshua Bright, part of an organisation called the Order of the Wanky Horse, Moonlight Horse. She was just Kruger at first, and then Ouroboros destroyed them all, with the exception of Sharon and a certain Thousand Oathbreaker who won't appear till the Calvadark. After nearly dying while killing Elise's dad by accident, Irina called her Sharon. And as for Elise's dad, we actually met him earlier in the fishing shop, and that's just his cover. He'll pop up later. What a normal family the Rhinefords are. Since Cold Steel 3 suffers from a strange case of nothing ever happens disease, at least until the last 10% of the game or so, you may have noticed that I'm omitting a ton of stuff from this essay. Reason one is that this isn't a pure retrospective and I focus more on analysis. The second is that I'm tired of editing 4-hour videos. The third will be covered in the outro. Ollie and Alfin rock up. Vita has a few seconds to be mysterious while also doing nothing, and then the first sign of one of Falcom's biggest walkbacks with a guy in a mask who's obviously totally not Crow. There's a lot of nothingness and a lot of fetchy quests as well, and a hell of a lot more uninteresting back and forth in the main story that I'm not going to cover here because it was boring to me. But it's for the best, and again, I'll detail exactly why in the outro. This Professor Lumen though, seems like a kindly fellow to me. Reminds me of the other lovely guy, Professor Alba, I think it was. You may remember him as Salt on your fish and chips. Weissman, been a while. You good? Oh, of course you are. That won't be necessary number 3, but with slightly different words and no sort of biting gale. With Emma and Celine, the latest member berries. Rufus says we're being tested and that they want to see if any of us can reach the core. I still have no idea what the fuck this actually means. I never did and I still don't. I have theories, but... He at least tells us of how he came up with the idea of the Iron Bloods and was loyal to Ozzy from a young age. He wants us to pass him. Fancy banquet, slice of life interactions, Cold Steel 3 moments, ruined! Ouroboros, mini dungeon, boss fights where we don't actually win. I'm serious, you get Campanella to 1 HP and he becomes invincible. And then he one-shots everyone. Completely scripted and coded. It's terrible game design. Same with McBurn. Then after teasing actually interesting battles, like Rufus and Oliver and Randy, Ouroboros runs away and leaves. Oh, they were just holding back as well. It's hard to see the funny side. I'm becoming serious angry Luke again. No, I'm gonna go back to making Trails rant videos like I did in 2023. I can become angry again. That's my Trails. Sharon takes a hit for us and saves us, and our friends save us too. And then one of the game's best scenes where the SSS are revealed to be trapped in Mishy Wonderland and Juna pleads with us to give Crossbell back, finally hitting her limit. It's very emotional and it's wonderfully written, and once again, Falcom knows how to do moments. At least. Honestly though, if you're going to be trapped anywhere, wouldn't you want it to be Mishy Wonderland? It's a great place, we'll see it in the next game. Trails, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. SSS building nostalgia now, as Olivier Lenheim joins us for a while. Reminds me of someone, I'm not sure who though. Turns out Rien saved Juna during the annexation because he's perfect, and of course he did. He's a Rien, he's Kondo. Someone's going to get angry at that.
Luke, he's not Kondo self-insert, Luke.
I don't know about that. Captured the energy of this place perfectly. Mystic, mysterious, archaic, but in a magical way. I'm looking at the script right now, but I can hear and see it in my mind, even now. Ouroboros talk about plans, we fight them and win, but guess what? They were just holding back. At this point, 8 games. 8 games into this trope, all you can do is laugh. All you can do is laugh. Vita makes her grand reappearance, and then Crow. I gave the spoiler warning, so we're not beating around the bush. It is him. It was always going to be him. It was obvious from the start. It's revealed fully in the final scene. But since we're here, let's talk about the implications of Falcom bringing back Crow, the very next game after his dramatic climactic death. Well, any death in the future is going to be far less impactful, like Miriam's death later on, or Oliver, Toval and Victor. And the stakes already felt super low since Ouroboros, the main antagonist group, are a complete joke who never really do much of anything except show up, test us, and then teleport away for some nebulous plan, pop up in a final dungeon so we can have somebody to fight before the main boss. And even now, 8 games into the series, death of main characters is still very rare. So this was just like the last straw for many people, myself included. The end of Cold Steel 2 was really impactful, all things considered, and it looked like Falcom had finally done away with this and giving us a big character death. And I mean the biggest since Leeves in Sky 2nd Chapter. But now they do this. Oh, and to do it in this way with the mask, and to put him in the OP as though anyone anywhere is wondering who this is and doesn't know who it actually is. Obviously, it's some of the most amateur writing I've ever seen since Cold Steel 2? Either way, it's a joke, and I will be ruthlessly tearing into it and mocking it forever. Crow's cool. I'm glad he's here. If they're going to do it with anyone, they might as well do it with someone as cool as him, right? He's one of my favourite characters. If he is real, I get along well with him. He'll be a fun character to have back in the game, but the consequences of this, I'm saying, will never ever go away now. But like all things Falcom, you just got to learn to laugh at it, and let it roll off you like rain, and enjoy the stupid ride. Also, Juna cheers up and forgives us, and she likes us now. Yay! The final scene involves a cheap still image of Lloyd, with Kia and Arias saying hi from a distance as we go past on the train, having saved Crossbell from themselves once more. And I guess they haven't made the models for him yet. Nice scene though, with the bro fist between Reen and Lloyd. It's a lovely ending to a chapter, probably my favourite chapter in the game.
Chapter 3. The Steel Maiden Jobs to Aurelia.
I think Hideo Kojima wrote Chapter 3 because it starts with nearly half an hour of cutscenes. Miriam and Eustace are best beans now, and probably Shirley and Rutka have a face-off, and Sarah turns up and immediately thirsts over a middle-aged man, even though she'll eventually fall for Reen like 98% of the women in Zemuria, because Reen is condos. Yeah. And then Leanne and McBurn hang out with some others by the statue at Brionia, which used to be very important but is now a big rock of cock. Mishy and Ash joined the class officially, and now we have 5 bum buddies to keep from dying, and of course about 5 hours, maybe even 10, of slice of lifey stuff that I won't detail because this script is already over 8,000 words long. Well, there is the bathhouse scene with Aurelia, if you're into that. Orders now. Lovely place. New place. Very blue. The last new big city of the game, what of Heimdall being next, is very blue, as I stated, and I like blue. I also like the coast, because that's blue too. I like to go there. I really love the coast in games. Stop saying that, but that won't be necessary, because that won't be necessary. Again, with Eustace this time, on a beach, or a little far away from it. I will not pretend that this is interesting. It's happened so many times, I'm bored. Raquel is an exciting little town. It's like Crossbell's entertainment district, almost as big too. Tiny little place. And as if Falcom weren't creatively incontinent enough so far in the game, that won't be necessary again, with Sarah and Angie making the save this time. It's beyond a joke at this point. I'm not kidding. They really do it this much. It's insane. Sarah's great to see again. And Angie... ugh.
I wanna be a provider.
Take that, evil Mishy. She's mine now. And we finally learn of Claire's backstory and why she's so loyal to Ozzy. It's understandable to a degree, but later on when he goes full ham with his plan, it stops being an excuse.
No, Rin-san. You've pledged your undying love to Claire, the blueberry ice cream hoe. Only evil Mishy would do such stupidity.
Hey, Brionia Island, finally. The world is beautiful. It's rich, atmospheric and absorbing in a way that eclipses the first 2 games in the arc. I think it's the vibrancy of the new engine and seeing the other half of Erebonia is a thrilling thing. There's a mystical edge to Erebonia in the later Cold Steel games. If Leeves is the base of the smoothie, then Eastern Erebonia is the fruit and veg that makes it explode with a diverse array, carefully coordinated colour. Yeah, I wrote that myself. Part of why I actually do essays is so I have another excuse to write like 5,000 words a day. And while the world at large sums this up very nicely in how it interconnects with the lore of the series in a very exciting way, the new branch campus sums up the more intimate elements of the experience as we talk about the world in general. And the new characters. With New Class 7, Altina is my favourite. We know her well and now we get to see her grow as a person in a way that's genuinely fulfilling. Ash is fun and a breath of fresh air compared to the rest. And the rest are pretty wanky, honestly. Mishy would probably cut it off while you slept. Yuna's one step away from an Instagram account, and Kurt is one of the most genuinely annoying characters out there for the early days. But they all grew on me, eventually. It's just I'm comparing them to the old Class 7. Can't not do it. But the side characters are what make this one memorable. And due to the smaller nature of the branch campus, we get to see more of them as they get more screen time. Trista and Forza are cozy, despite being big and grand, and the branch campus is cozy because it's just cozy. Tita returns, as mentioned, after not being seen since the 3rd game. Schmidt is genuinely hilarious and gets fleshed out more. Tio Moments are back on the menu. The OG Class 7 are featured heavily, but not too much as to take away from the new one. Randy returns and we get to see him lose his mind as he tries to look out for Ash. Toa's back because that's just how things are meant to be. Toa's meant to be in every game. And of course Aurelia is fleshed out too. And the game shows us how deep her personality is beyond the wanting to be the strongest warrior who ever lived stuff. And again, these new classmates are brilliant. They're all unique personalities and they really do justify their place in the game. And in the story too. You can draw parallels between them and our own adventures in Cold Steel 1 and 2. And you see how Reen's grown up in some ways because of that. It's a good analogue. The branch campus begins to feel like a family really quickly, from the students to the instructors. And the enclosed nature of it all, compared to the main campus we knew so well, is a big reason for this. But these students are also closer to us because we are the one helping them with various things, both academic and personal, because that's how a good instructor does it. Eventually they're showing up during the big battles with us, and they've earned their place in those big battles. They're endearing, and I love them to bits, even if they are weird. I'm weird too, I appreciate it. And the world facilitates this, brings to life all of these aspects and making them coexist in a way that makes a lot of sense. My favourite location is this, Brionia Island. The song here is called Behind the Lore, and plays during the more mystical moments in the game. We're finally getting a good look at the lore that this game was built upon, that this world was built upon, and seeing new mystical places as we do so, all while the most important and exciting characters make more of an impact than they did before. Cold Steel 3 is where everything begins to come together, even though it takes its time. But hey, we're going somewhere now, for real. Slowly. On the topic of aesthetics, I got to give a shout out to whomever designed the UI for this game. Cold Steel 1 and 2 had a very blocky, old school style that I really enjoyed, and I felt like it fit the experience, being as archaic as it was, but 3 and 4 have a more smooth, modernistic feel, but not overly so. The cooler colours and the shapes feel very mechanical, but also fluid, you know, like cold steel. I really enjoy this user interface, and I think UI design is a very underappreciated art form, so fair play to the designers. It looks really good. Steel Maiden Lady fights us. We beat her, but we don't really. You know the deal. You know exactly what's going to happen. That won't be necessary, as Gaius saves us. And then Crow says something cryptic, and the next story beat at Juna. When you can predict how a scene will go, especially because it's happened multiple times, there's no stakes. There's no point getting invested. But Brionia and the vibes are magical, and there's your microcosm for Cold Shit 3. There it is right there. And the Trail series. Equal parts dog shit to absolute Kino. This is the way of the cold shit. And with that, Aurelia is the next cool sword lady. Good thing too. Some people didn't like LIANNE bending the knee to Aurelia here, and I'm here to say cope and save. LIANNE's been hyped up for ages. 5 games now, and she's done basically nothing. She's done nothing except fight us at the end of Crossbell and then let us pass. What's she doing? What's wrong with her? She's just a lady who does the Ouroboros plan thingies now. Aurelia, meanwhile, in less time, has helped us storm the fortress. She got involved in the Civil War. She's raising a school full of little warrior beans. She actually does things. In the next game, she smacks Ozzy with her sword just because she can. She just twats him with it, while LIANNE is simping for him. LIANNE jobs to Aurelia. Aurelia goes over at WrestleMania and wins the title. Also, Muse is actually Duchess Mildine, and Gaius will be revealed later on to be in the Grol's Ritter. That's why he's been away so long. How could I forget about Windboy? LIANNE and Roselia have a nice scene, which alludes to their backstory with those two in Drykos. And then this.
She knows too much. Get rid of her, Georg.
George. So as a professional, how do you intend to intervene?
Oh, was I that obvious?
Ozzy and Emperor Eugen talk about their plan to follow what it says in the records. No, not the Akashic records that this wanky historian once read during my drama videos on the Falcon fandom, but the Black records, which document causality, history, and a prophecy of the future, is what Eugen says. And I feel as though the visual symbolism might even refer to how Ozzy is in somewhat of a cage himself. We'll see more of this in the next game. If so, this is great visual storytelling. If not, I'm going to give this one to Kondo-san anyway. I'm giving it to Kondo. After all of that won't be necessary stuff. The man needs a win. He needs his W. We'll give him this sacred W. But screw that. Slice of life stuff happens now. And it'll be a lot more interesting on your first playthrough, right, sure. And then 1,000,000 more hours of slice of life. Aurelia's coming with us this time though, on the field study. Kino. And yes, I am very well aware that I just summarized about 10 literal hours of a video game in less than a minute. My Cold Steel 1 essay was nearly 3 hours long. 3 hours long. One must make sacrifices in this life if one is to do the video game essay well. Anyway, Heimdall once more with a slightly more ethereal and imposing soundtrack and shinier graphics. I dig it. And now, the greatest quest in Kiseki history, the horse race. Lino Bloom, baby. When I first played, I picked Lino Bloom. I really did. It lets you choose any horse, but I was drawn to the old horse. I figured he had one more race in him, and how right I was. This is peak Trails, the underdog, fighting back against all odds to win something. Trails ain't no shonen slop, it's 100% pure horse racing simulation. Anyone who disagrees with me is an Ouroboros agent, a fed. People are just angry that they didn't go with the old boy Lino Bloom. Edio smiles upon us today with our heavenly light. That's right, while you fuckers on the subreddit are arguing over which girl, Reen or Van or whatever that other protagonist who jobs a lot is called, while you're all arguing over which girl is the best girl for him, or moaning about things I used to moan about, we're having a civil war in the Yume shipping community on Twitter and sending each other death threats because of it. I'm loving Lino Bloom instead, like a Chad. Go Gold ship! The Class 7 reunion is nice, even though they never really went away for us. It's nice to see them all together, like the old days. Last Tuesday, Roselia tells us to go kill a dark dragon from 900 years ago in a big-ass dungeon. The dungeon itself is likely exactly as you envision it in your mind. You have 3 teams across 3 different levels, flicking puzzles to help the other team do things and color-coded doors, and here I am zipping through it on turbo mode like it's a little office work. Look, these dungeons make me think very malevolent thoughts that would get me in trouble on YouTube if I said them out loud, so I prefer not to speak. But wait, look, for an ephemeral moment we get a party of 3. I can do the circle run. The summer festival is fun, Pattery and Marcius have a moment and Pattery's default expression is still righteous indignation, and of course, a Tio Moments, where she fangirls over Mishy. Laura's the best one for this event. She loves Mishy, and Laura's grown on me, alright? I like Laura. I like her a lot. Speaking of which, the romance option is still here, and this is how I accidentally unlocked it and remembered as much, unlocking the Laura scene. So I chose her for this playthrough as my future wife, because Marcius is not an option.
Your choice of waifu doesn't matter at the end, and it's probably trash, just saying. Deal with it.
It completely ignores your choice in the last game. It's also non-canon and I still don't know why it exists. Alright, I know why it exists. I know. But it makes me sad. Bigly. But hey, in our headcanon, we get with Laura and make 1 million sword babies. The big ball involves the important people of Erebonia and our friends. And it's like Sky Third in the Royal Palace. I love when they bring all of the important people together to interact like this. It's brilliant. This is one of the biggest perks of having so many characters. One of the drawbacks is that, characters get underused, but give and take, good and bad. Emperor Eugen tells us of the Black Records finally, and the curse of Erebonia. Ozzy tells us about how he's taken over Ouroboros' plan, the Phantasmal Blaze plan to acquire all of the Septarians. Adios' 7 treasures. He even mentions the Great One, the Septarian of Steel, and it's really, really weird about 3 games of next to nothing in terms of main plot to even hear these things of a main character. A main character is mentioning the Septarians, the main lore of the series. It's so weird, but man is it awesome. But conversely, it does get across just how little things have moved forward with the main plot since Azure ended, or just in general. We're 8 games in now. Also, he gave Reen his heart to save his life. Not sure how the transplant worked, probably anime wankery, and then the curse comes to a head. And Ash, the 3rd survivor of Hamel, because retcon. Oh, did you hear about Hamel? It's so bad, it's so sad. Ash shoots the Emperor, Rufus pins it on Calvin, and it's martial law time. Let's invade Calvin. We'll do them next. Cross it off the list. Kondo doesn't care about them. He barely even fleshes them out when they get their own arc later. Do it before Kondo makes Trails Through Daybreak.
A Verne Company gun made with resin parts. It would not have been found by a metal detector. Unfortunately, I cannot deny the possibility.
Ozzy declares martial law, but never mind that shit, it's Thomas. Thomas finally stops messing around and goes into serious mode with him and Roselia giving us a nice big bag of sugary law drops. Rose is about 800 years old. Years ago, the Hexen clan had the Septarian of Fire, Arc Rouge, and the Gnomes had the Septarian of Earth, Lost Zem, who both clashed, forging the Septarian of Steel, the Great One, not the Rock. The Great One split into shards, and that is what made the Divine Knights. When the Dark Dragon is killed by the Originator Zero Sword, the Great Twilight begins, which is literally the beginning of the end. It's basically the completion of the curse, and that means that Oz, OZ, is Millium and Altinus designations. This is foreshadowed very earlier on, and I think they had this one planned from the beginning. I mean, it reads like they did. Gotta give them credit for this one. I did not expect Altina and Millium to be literal swords. That's really cool. Yes, these beans are literally designed to become giant swords that can kill a dragon. That's metal. Vita shows up and says that she's loyal to the Grandmaster forever. Man, this Grandmaster sure is important if she commands this kind of undying loyalty. She's also decided to work with Ozzy to complete the Phantasmal Blaze plan, despite him making a mockery of her. She's also the leader of the organization working to acquire all of the Septarians, which are the central element in the entire series, and we've only seen her literally once, as a floaty mystical orb bean. So yes, 8 games in, will we finally learn about her now? I hope you're ready, because the answer is no. What about our undying loyalty, Kondo? What about ours? What about our hopes and dreams? What about my feelings? You beer drinking f***. This master plan better be good, I'm telling you. Ozzy's allied with Ouroboros and the gnomes, as we said, and we gotta chase him down and win with our friendship powers.
We're here because we tried hard, you know? We tried real hard. Look at my hand. Mishy on my arm gives me the strength. And also, I'm gay for Crow. I just wanted to come out and say that right now. I wanted to get it out of the way. I'm obviously gay for Crow. Okay, ready, let's go.
The final dungeon is a lot less annoying, and we face everyone in boss fights as we go, including Claire, who really has done something wrong now. Claire's done something wrong. Dear God, the whole universe has collapsed. They're going to sacrifice Altina to make her a big sword. It comes at the cost of the life of the bean, so we can't let that happen. All these people have agreed to sacrifice this little girl for the plan. Leanne, Sharon, Claire included. Also, Elisa's father is Black Alberic, chief of the gnomes. It's exciting stuff. All these plot twists are really good. And then, just as we're getting into the dungeon, just about to do it, Oliver, Victor and Toval turn up to help. And the power of friendship blows them up. Yes, the Courageous is exploded by George, who's also a baddie now, and part of the gnomes. George Gnome is a gnome. G-Gnome is a gnome. How about that? It's so on the nose. I can't believe I never saw that. That's so good. Mishy, meanwhile, is working with Aurelia and Vita alongside Wallace, and Aurelia saves Ash. Because with Ash, he didn't actually want to shoot the Emperor. It's just the curse taking over him because of what happened to him at Hamel. That's when it was implanted within him. These guys, led by Mishy, are the Viceland army, and Mishy's main players are Wallace, Aurelia and Vita. This was Mishy's big play. This is why throughout all the game, Mishy was giving little nods to Vita and Aurelia. Mishy is literally the leader of these two. Mishy's quite the Mary Sue. Man, if Trail's games were cut in half, with more of the kind of stuff that happens in the final 5 to 10% of the game, it would be as good as Final Fantasy. Maybe not near, but unfortunately, the ending isn't particularly nice, because Milliam sacrifices herself to save Altina, becomes the big ass sword instead, and Reen goes absolutely batshit through no fault of his own, and the curse takes hold of him, and he takes the sword and slashes the ever-living crap out of the dragon, kickstarting the Great Twilight. Crow remembers who he is, everyone jumps in to stop Reen, and then...
Now, Reen, let us begin. Together we shall write the end to this wretched fairy tale, in ink, black as despair.
Yeah, 8 games in and we have our 3rd cliffhanger of the series. It's not the worst of them though. We had Sky first, we had Cold Steel 1, and now Cold Steel 3. 3 cliffhangers. And it ain't the worst of them either. That comes in the 13th game of the series. Maybe it really wasn't necessary, but who's to say anything is? Cold Steel 3 and Cold Steel 4 should have been halved and combined, and I think I said that about 1 and 2 and both Sky games and both Crossbell games. The amount of filler in this game may even eclipse the 1st and 2nd Cold Steel games combined. I don't condone this, but one thing I've had to take into account as I replay the series for essays is to remember the first playthrough, while also taking into account the latest one. Most people probably only play games once, so it's important to have this atypical sort of insight. It's remarkably esoteric and bilateral, but you have to look at it that way. Either way, it's egregious. Sometimes I don't care, and that's the feeling that's most prominent in the first playthrough. But it's not always a feeling. Another feeling at this point in the series is burnout. Watching Falcom do this time and time again with the same old tropes when you know what's going to happen. But by now, with this 8th game of the series, even though things are finally heating up, you sometimes can't help but feel as though, even though the series is spinning its wheels a lot more aggressively, the glacial pacing leaves it doing donuts on the side of the road, like it has a quota to meet. The only game in the history of Trails to dispense with this terrible pacing was Sky 3rd. Kondo doesn't really seem to like that very much. So Cold Steel 3's issue is a Trails issue. Incredible moments happen, but they happen so rarely that the insane amount of nothingness between those moments is absorbed into the void, and only tiny little pieces are even vaguely there in your memory. I used to say that my favourite Trails games are Cold Steel 1, Sky Third, and Cold Steel 3. But replaying a game with an analytical eye as well as a creative one allows me a lot more perspective. Yes, it's cozy. Yes, its world is wonderful, but while I can forgive many other Trails games for these exact things that literally every Trails game has issues with, padding, filler, repetition, tropes, etc., Cold Steel 3, and I see it now more than ever, is so egregious in the sheer number of these things that I'm officially knocking it off my favourites list. Bye. Repetition takes away the stakes, the suspense. At least this level of repetition does, because when you know what's going to happen in excruciating detail for so much of a story, it stops being interesting. There's nothing left to get invested in. As for Trails, with this cliffhanger, it's like an unspoken promise of answers in the next game, which will be the end of the saga, but not really, and the 9th game in the series. But that's then and this is now. So yeah, maybe it wasn't necessary after all, but still, that's our Falcon.